Good.
That's perfect.
Shall we begin?
It is. It's been soaking wet.
Becky, ready? Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whoa. Secretary, please call the roll.
Director Underhill. Here. Director Ratterman.
Here,
Director Thomas.
Here.
Director Cicada. Here. President Davidson.
Here. Number 2 on the agenda, public comment. This time, members of the public may address the board on any non-agendized item. The public is encouraged to work through staff, place items on the agenda for board consideration. No action be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Is there any public comment today? Do we have anybody online with us? Okay, is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items are expected to be routine, non-controversial. They'll be acted upon the board at one time without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be removed for later discussion.
move for acceptance.
I'll second that. Okay, should I read these or are we good? I'll read them just for the fun of it. 3A, approval of the minutes of the board meeting in June 15th, June 23rd, and June 25th. 3B, review board monthly timesheets for June 2010. 3C, okay, what did I say? Close. Ratify claim summary 592 secretarial fund. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to new business 4A, discussion action regarding Redwood Water Storage Tank Wildlife Hazard Mitigation Project Site Work Foundation Underground Piping Electrical CIP 11095.
Good afternoon. Hey, so I was going to start the presentation with kind of a little overview of the project. So basically there's 5 water tanks that are being replaced as part of this project. It's funded in part by Cal OES, FEMA. So the Heather Drive and Forest Meadows tank, the existing tank is a 458,000 gallon Redwood storage tank. And it's going to be replaced with a 510,000 gallon bolted steel tank. During the construction, we have to install temporary water storage tanks there to supply water during the construction process. The new tank is going to have a mixing manifold inside of it to help circulate the water inside the tank because it has a common inlet and outlet. The tank is currently under fabrication right now. It's released for fabrication, so it should be here by the end of September, beginning of October. The second tank is the Big Trees Tank 8 in Camp Connell. That's the one up in the Sierra Pacific Industries properties at the top of the hill above Camp Connell. The existing tank's a 98,000 gallon Redwoods water storage tank, and we're going to be replacing with a 135,000 gallon bolted steel tank. The new tank is going to be built adjacent to the existing tank, so the existing tank will be in service during the construction of the new tank. The new tank is going to have a mixing system in it that allows the water to circulate, and so the fill and draw cycles, it'll take the fresher water out first. This tank is currently under fabrication, and it's going to be the first tank installed as part of this site work project. The expected delivery for the tank materials is in the middle of September. The next tank is the Big Trees 4 and 5. And this had the existing tank, there's 2 separate tanks, 93,000 gallons each. We're going to incorporate both tanks into one tank and build in the footprint of where tank 4 is. That'll allow us, if we want to add an additional tank in the future, room on the site to put it next to it. So that tank is going to be in the 2022 construction season. It can't be started until tank A at the top of the hill is completed because they're on the same system. The next tank is Arnold 13 tank. That's at Flume Court, the Meadowmont 13 tank. The existing tank, it's inside the cul-de-sac. It's a 101,000 gallon redwood storage tank, and we're going to replace it with a slightly larger 120,000 gallon tank. And we'll need temporary tanks at this location also during construction. They'll be put in, there's a vacant lot on the far side of the tank, and we'll put it in the road there in front of the vacant lot. So the residents will be able to enter from both directions.
You said there's gonna be a temporary, we have to rent like a tank?
We have some tanks left over from the previous project, so we're gonna let the contractor use our tanks that we have.
But you can't use, on the other tanks you just talked about, you're leaving them there until the new ones are in.
Yeah,
You
this
can't do
one's in
that
the
on
middle.
this one?
I'm sorry.
You can't do that on this one, I'm guessing.
Yeah, Heather Drive and Meadowmont or Arnold 13 and Larkspur, they have to be built in the same location because that's the only spot. So like the one right now is inside the middle of the cul-de-sac. So unless we go and purchase property,
Gotcha.
we have to build in the same location.
I knew there was a good reason.
Yeah, we talked to the customer there, and I think they want to sell the property for $70,000 or something. So, it's better just to build it where it is anyway for hydraulics. So this one has the existing planter around it. So the planters used to have trees and stuff in it, and now it just there's no plants anymore. So we're going to remove the inside of the planter and leave the outside wall to protect the tank. We also need a little bit more real estate to build the new tank. And the new tank's going to have an altitude valve with a what do you call it? A constant pressure regulator in it, so that when the tank fills, people won't experience a drop in pressure in their lines. And then additionally, we have valving there, so that tank can be bypassed and fed from other tanks if we need to temporarily take it out of service. The last tank is Larkspur Court Tank in Forest Meadows. The existing tank's 146,000 gallons, and the new tank can be 260,000 gallons. This tank's gonna be considerably bigger. This also has a new pressure sustaining altitude valve that controls the level and maintains pressure to the customers that are on the transmission and distribution line. This work won't take place until the 2022 season. So that'll happen after the Heather tank because they're on the same system. So California Aqua Store, go ahead.
Yeah, you're talking about, the mechanics of the tanks, and it sounds like we don't have to worry any longer about, when the tank gets empty and then it fills up again. There was a bad taste to a lot of people because of the,
Yeah, the redwood tanks, the steel tanks will be better for that, for the disinfecting byproducts and that type of stuff.
Right, okay. Because as I say, we just used to always get all kinds of customer service complaints about the fact that our water tasted really bad.
Yeah, the tanks, the ones that have a common inlet and outlet, sometimes if you don't have a mixing system in it, the water just goes in, the same water comes right out. It doesn't get equally distributed throughout the tank. So these new manifolds, you got some check valves and different things that'll prevent that from happening.
On this last tank in Forest Meadows, why are you doubling it?
If they need additional capacity there.
That much, huh?
Yes. Yeah, some of these other tanks like Big Trees 4 and 5, those areas aren't as heavily populated. So even though it's kind of a balancing act between fire flow and how much the customers actually use. So we don't want the water age to get too bad. So I think after this project's over, we're looking at upgrading the pumping system in Dorrington and also at Big Trees 4 and 5. It'll allow the fire flow to come through the pumping system.
Okay.
And then, so California Aqua Store, the vendor for the tanks, they did the structural calculations for the tanks. A-Team, an electrical consultant, did the electrical design, and then we did the civil design in-house. The district received 2 bids on the project from KW Emerson and TNT Industrial Contractors. KW Emerson was the parent low bidder, $1,545,490. They were right at our engineer's estimate of $1.5 million.
Who is in your report, you indicate engineer's estimate was 1.5 million. Who was the engineer that estimated that close?
Oh, I estimate, yeah.
Good job. That don't happen every day.
Yeah, it took a lot of time doing it.
He's got a better dartboard.
Or do you have one of these for making decisions?
Yeah.
It's funny how that has stayed in front of you.
Comes in handy.
Yeah.
And then KW Emerson, if once they're awarded the contract, they'll provide us the salvage value for the redwood. So we can let you guys know what the engineering committee or at the full board, what the salvage value of the wood is.
I have a good question on that. So on that salvage value, they're gonna tell us what the amount was. Is that a dollar amount that we're gonna receive?
No, they already figured in their contracts, so they already got the wood. There was a question on how much the wood is worth, so we wrote a requirement that they have to provide an estimate and the receipt to sell it.
When you wrote the request for a bid, did it say to determine what that salvage is, that the contractor can keep it and deduct it from the bid? I just want to make sure that TNT had that same opportunity, right?
Yeah, we talked to TNT about the project, so they were familiar with it.
Bid in writing that says, the salvage deducted. And then,
Even Emerson hasn't told us what the salary is.
but if this is the amount of the bid, right? So they have they have a general idea if they deducted it. And so I just want to make sure they both have that opportunity to make that deduction. I mean, at this point, if we accept it the way it is, it really doesn't matter how much the salvage comes to.
Yep.
It could be $2 million.
Yeah, why are they reporting, why are they required?
I know, but wouldn't you have rather said that? Because they're gonna get 2 million off of that and 1.5 per month. You know what I'm saying? It's just.
Yeah, I think that,
We're paying them to build it. Yeah.
Just shaking his head, you must have moved on.
Well, I'm just so tired of the salvage value. Everybody, it's not ours anymore. We're gonna sign this.
yeah, it's part of the,
It's theirs.
Keep giving things away either. It's really
Well, we didn't give anything away.
they incorporated into their bid. They're aware of, they did the project before, they're aware of what it's worth. I'm pretty sure they did so I think that could have contributed to the lower price was the knowledge of what.
But the other company knew the same.
They knew the same thing, we spelled
They
out. in the
both bid by
contract.
the same rules.
Yes, exactly.
That's the bottom line. They both bid by the same rules.
Which is what Cindy wanted to make sure of.
Yeah, we spelled out that it belongs to them and then the salvage value is only for accounting purposes so that we know what it's worth. So
Well, what,
I don't know if it could be a match or not. We haven't come to that point yet.
for what purpose do we need to know what they're selling our garbage for?
For Russ's, so
I mean,
Russ
what-
can
It was
read
requested by the board, so that's why we.
Oh, we requested it?
Yeah.
The engineer committee's been at work on that one.
Whatever that redwood's been worth, it hasn't been worth the staff time of this board talking about it. When we're paying him $300 an hour over here to talk about salvage wood.
Okay.
No, and it has no consequence at this point.
His name is Matt Weber.
Is that match? It's been a year since we've seen it.
Anyway, Cindy, does that satisfy your answer? Okay.
You didn't ask me.
You still have time.
So the project's slated to be done over 2 years, so the staff recognizes that the budget adjustment may be needed to take place over this fiscal year for the additional costs above what we have budgeted currently. And so we reviewed their bid and I recommend that we award to Emerson based on the review of their bid.
All right, does that conclude your report?
Yes.
Any other board comments?
Well, next time that we have a redwood tank to replace,
And we will.
we need to auction it up. Like the
Meters.
$100,000 worth of meters you want to give.
Well, you do realize that this reclaimed wood is really pricey right now. You could have plenty of people bidding on, getting that wood. It's very expensive and sought after. And one of the reasons why I kind of don't want to know, because we may look pretty foolish that we only, because we're going to look at, roughly, 400 and some odd $1,000 savings compared to the two bid. And what if we could have gotten double or triple that? So it's really expensive and we've got a lot of redwood tanks out there. Anybody heard of Vintage Pool Company back in the day from Murphy's, what they did with their redwood pipes? So anyway.
Okay,
So I entertain a motion from Director Underhill.
yes.
You make,
So moved. Yes,
Okay.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2021 awarding the contract to KW Emerson, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for the Redwood Water Management Tank Wild Farm Hazard Mitigation Project.
okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Any further comments from the directors? Okay, seeing none. Secretary, please call the roll.
Director Underhill,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Cicada,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. Thank you.
It is gratifying that the work is going to a local contractor. It's good.
Again, nice job.
Okay, we'll move on to 4B, discussion action regarding stage water supply conditions per the water shortage contingency plan.
Hello. So I first want to talk about the current drought status that California is facing. California has experienced the driest rainy season on record in the past 126 years. And on Thursday, July 8th, Governor Newsom expanded his drought declaration plan, as well as is encouraging voluntary water conservation for all Californians at 15%. So the Water Shortage Contingency Plan, the Urban Water Management Planning Act requires every supplier to have one. And it's aimed to respond at water shortages per the Department of Water Resources. And our 2020 Urban Water Management Plan currently has our most up-to-date WSCP. And there are 6 stages within it. And that first stage is a voluntary stage, and it's titled the advisory stage. And it's a voluntary rationing response. Within that advisory, it's pretty much focused on conservation outreach. And there are 3 main topics of outreach within this response stage. Customers should take appropriate actions to establish run times for landscape irrigation to eliminate excessive runoff. Request that landscape watering is avoided during the hottest part of the day. And to discourage the use of cleaning any type of pavement with water and instead sweeping or blowing the dirt. Currently, this year for CCWD outreach related to water conservation, we are encouraging conservation through this next round of customer bills. We also released and dispersed a press release on Friday, July 9th, encouraging water conservation and just updating the public on the current status of the drought. We have been coordinating with partnering agencies within the Calaveras Conserves Partnership. We met with them a couple of weeks ago. And I'm currently developing a webpage for Calaveras Conserves. We used to have a website the last drought, but that website is no longer active. So
Who all makes that up?
what was that?
Who are all the members of that?
Who are all of them? There's Blue Lake Springs, all the water agencies. Yeah. In addition to that, I'll be drafting a press release in the next week or so and dispersing, having all of the agencies review, and we will be releasing a joint press release on water conservation.
Just curious, what happened to the old website? Do they just go away if you don't use them?
So I'm assuming it wasn't paid for. The domain is no longer active.
Oh,
And we met with Joel Metzger, who is the one that created that last time, and he just recommended that CCWD creates the web page and then they can copy paste and disperse within their own agency. So, yes, so we're currently coordinating with all agencies involved to try to this go around, just make sure that our message is consistent, that each agency isn't saying something different. Just as we have been, we are encouraging conservation tips, both indoor use and outdoor use, for how to conserve water, just to educate the public. And just overall, we're just encouraging conservation with customers. We have customers calling in every now and then, just asking, what's happening? There's a drought. What am I supposed to do? Can I fill up my pool? All those things. So we're just trying to have just a consistent message within the district.
But they have to keep it 85, only 85% full.
You'd be amazed the questions that we get. I had somebody ask me the other day if they can wash their hair more than 4 times a week. You're asking the wrong person. Yeah.
May I?
Yep.
Ask a question. Okay, we're saying to our customers, to everybody, please save 15%, and a lot of that, I will have to stop and figure out what our usage is and then take 15% and try to figure that out. But can we, from a company standpoint, at maybe a couple months down the road, say what percentage have we reached? Because I don't believe we've ever done that before.
So,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Well,
how are we conserving here in this?
well, we're,
Replacing redwood tanks,
No, water use.
all by itself is probably 15% less leakage.
So I think it's a great suggestion to figure out ways to measure that. It's always a challenge for us because of the variability that we have in occupancy rates. But that's going to be an important part of the actions that the state takes next, because what they're telling us, what the water board is telling us is it's voluntary for now. And if everybody takes the 15%, voluntary recommendation seriously and actually shows, can demonstrate that we're saving water, then, maybe we can stave off mandatory curtailment.
Or then they'll decide, if they can do 50%, let's go for 25.
Or they may do that.
I think that's a likely scenario.
But I think the more that we can demonstrate that this is effective and it's working, the more we might be able to, stave off potential more draconian.
Also, though, we did monitor the usage. We were getting reports every month or so about the percentage of usage, and how we had achieved all these goals. So they were measuring it somehow back with the last time this.
Yeah, it's based on, so what they're asking for right now is a 15% reduction with using 2020 as your baseline. So we can evaluate year to year.
And a lot of it's got to do with climate and temperature. A lot of it just happens one way or the other.
And 2020 is such an anomalous year. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out going forward. If this becomes an extended drought like the last one, in the last one, 2013 was the baseline year, and for years we were measuring everything based on 2013 levels. And if that happens again, it'll be interesting to see how, because 2020 was such a weird year. It may not be representative of.
You would think they'd be taking a multi-year average.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to guess 2020, a lot more people were at home, more
Higher
time
water
to take
consumption.
showers, more
I think
time
so.
to using your own toilets all day long.
Yeah.
More people were in those cabins up the hill and at Copper from they're doing their jobs from their vacation place. I'm going to bet in 2020 there was a spike.
There was
water
certainly, and
use.
so the question then is there a gallon per capita per day, measurement or methodology that we can come up with to evaluate whether we're more efficient per user, in not just looking at aggregate water consumption totals, which may be.
Actually, there might have been less showers with people never leaving their houses, but.
Michael, I think I heard this right the other day, that on the radio, there was some comments about this percentage of savings. And the report said that based on 2013 as the measurement threshold, that our current usage is 21% lower than that, lower than it was in 2013.
Statewide.
Yeah. So
It wouldn't surprise me a ton if that were the case, because there's a lot of places like here where it never got back to pre-drought consumption levels. And then since then, a lot of agencies like CCWD have done a lot of infrastructure work that helps, conserve water. Every time we replace a pipeline, our service line replacement project, a lot of that leak mitigation work that we've done has helped conserve water.
But the reason I mentioned that is I think that Jessica should kind of keep her focus on if that is true, then your press releases, I think, should address that whereas we're asking for 15% now, but due to all of the wonderful things that people have done, we're currently substantially lower than we were in 2013.
I think that's a really good point. I think it's wise to celebrate and encourage what people have done in the past, the past round of the drought, because a lot of people have spent a lot of money to dryscape their property when, they used to have lawns and things like that.
And the customers now, or I think they will be able to go onto our website, look at their water use in real time? Is that what?
Yeah.
Not yet. Once we have AMI and Tyler functioning and integrated, they will absolutely be able to do that. In addition to that, they can set up their own water usage conservation like alerts. So if they have their own goals that they want to set, they can, get alerts when they're kind of reaching that threshold.
When we will have that online?
So Tyler is scheduled to go live in September. So it's just a matter of the next step, the integration between Tyler and AMI. So hopefully that's a super quick integration and transition, but
I know
Maybe you might start some of them more.
correct.
in what areas are they starting first with the meters?
And it's passed.
With pass.
And where was the test?
Where did it go?
The test,
Wallace.
Wallace, there were 13 meters in Wallace.
Yeah, it's on.
are
We're
they-
trying to hit the areas that they get the most snow first.
How do you do that? We always are first.
Have they started up there?
Very persuasive.
They will be starting tentatively, that they're scheduled the second week of August as of yesterday's meeting with Mueller.
Okay.
They started with some of the network devices this week, so there's some of the repeaters in right now.
And
But it's-
will all of those be in?
All of the meters.
Yeah.
February, if they are on schedule with,
Very good.
that's
I
their
don't
current
know, we're gonna
timeline.
be getting some heavy storms, so.
So yeah, the big goal is to get through the Evans Pass surface area first before the snow.
Will those people, well, now that we have Tyler, coming real in September and they will have their meters, will they be fully functional with the?
Correct. So once they have their meter and once CCWD has Tyler implemented and it's integrated, the customers that have a new meter will be able to
So
use that.
that's it, October, November then, for sure, some of them will be. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, which is very exciting.
Yes,
Really exciting.
I'm excited.
I have a couple comments. One, again, is the water shortage contingency plan, is that the statewide title for this, or is that something we've come up with?
It's the state title per the water resources.
So DWR requires all agencies to include a water shortage contingency plan in their urban water management plan.
Well, because we all know we don't have a water shortage. So I mean, I don't like that heading, but if it's required, then it's fine. And then also down here on the 6th whereas, it goes into, at the last sentence, is a voluntary rationing response. Is that the right word we want to use? Rationing?
Conservation, I guess.
I mean, I just don't want to, I mean, it annoys the heck out of me. We're a water rich county and I'm fine with doing our part, but I also recognize that that domestic use is 8% of the total water used in the state, and trying to get 15% of 8% to save our ecosystem and our state is nonsense. And so when it comes to these, I want to hear voluntary, I want to hear conservation, but I also want our public to know, because I get this more than anything, are we going to run out of water? Because all people really do is listen to the KCR3 News, who is just a spokesperson for the governor, and they just try to get everybody in a panic, and our residents should not be panicked.
Yes, and in the press release that we dispersed on Friday, we did make sure to highlight that as far as CCW is concerned, we are fortunate to have adequate water supply. But it's just one of those things where, this is something that the state is asking for all Californians, so.
Include in those press releases that this is a one-size-fits-all program and everybody has to do the exact same thing, even though it doesn't fit Calaveras County very well.
Well, it doesn't,
Is there a way of
doesn't
explaining
do
it
anything for the
nicely?
state either.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good opportunity to really, clearly state that. And
Yeah.
I will make sure that, that I do my best to
You know.
to communicate that message.
That's the same thing.
Even the historic levels of our lake, I think is important. Even though they were low from recent, because, we had a big, the thing about Malone is it's incredible how fast that lake can, one season that thing can go up. Of course, they can damn near drain it.
No,
Season as well.
It is,
But-
it's being very,
Hogan right now, I'm not sure where Hogan's at, but I'll bet you we're very close to our average capacity, even though it looks down. People think, oh, we're gonna run out of water. We heard it on the news,
Yeah.
and I mean, we don't need to be helping everybody panic our customers.
Okay, so Jeff, where did you want to change that word?
I just think
In the-
conservation, right?
Yeah.
Rationing is something that's mandated, right? And this is not a mandate.
the other thing that Director Davidson just pointed out is something that we might explain. It might be helpful to help understand that this is less than 10% that consumers or residential consumers use. And agriculture and environmental use uses 90% of the water that's used in California every year. That's not said enough.
Mhm.
And if either one of those groups, environmental or agriculture, took 1% of their use, just 1%, I mean, not 15, or 1% of what they use, it would solve, it'd be, I mean, I
You
can't.
have the same anticlimactic result.
Right, well, there'd be different people complaining.
Right, yeah.
No, I think that's a great educational
Yeah.
tool and avenue.
As an
Yeah.
education to,
Absolutely.
if we're gonna do a press release, that's something to point out.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to win any awards for our conservation. If we have to go to 15%, I want it to be 15%. I don't want it to be 25%. Because the bottom line is we got to remember how we get paid.
Exactly.
We get paid by water usage.
Because we sell water.
Yeah. Pretty soon, we're just going to be selling delivery.
So that is,
Delivery system.
Director David said that is something that we've talked about internally and also with Calaveras Conserves, is there's that balance that we have to take as far as pushing outreach to customers of, it's obvious that people are concerned about the drought. It's something they're hearing every day. So we want to make sure that we are encouraging conservation for what the state is asking us to do, but to not.
Yeah, I really like Scott's, I would love to see something in a response that really does break down domestic water use, agricultural water use, environmental water use, maybe even a short explanation at the beginning, saying this is a mandate by the governor. Here's the breakdown of usage by industry or whatever, I don't know. And then go into, these are our voluntary measures. We're trying to comply with the state to help out to whatever extent it helps out. But I would like to have that explanation of the breakdown of usage. I mean, we're supposed to educate, our ratepayers so they have an understanding.
Absolutely.
And just to clarify, we don't have to get into this in that type of outreach necessarily, but ag is taking a big hit for sure. They're not getting any of their contract water. So they are taking a huge reduction both through the state water project and the Central Valley project. So
That's all surface water.
that's all surface water. So some of them have backup groundwater to rely on and other, alternative sources, but there's a big
But it's not
impact
40,
on ag.
but it's not 40%. If you just say ag is 40%, if they don't get the surface water, generally they're going to pull it out of the ground. And they're still going to
bigger
use pretty
users,
much the
yeah.
same amount of water.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be surface water that they're using, and that's going to go down the river for environmental purposes.
Right, and that will change as Sigma gets implemented as well. That groundwater may not be available for, especially down
But the
south.
environmental water is still,
That may go up.
all right.
One thing that I can remember as a very young boy fishing in these reservoirs around here, both Don Pedro and Maloney's. That was back in
That was built.
1800 and stuff.
I didn't think they were built.
That's old Maloney's reservoir.
Run down on Maloney's was really frightening to look at, but it never got down to where it exposed the old dam, and it was a huge reservoir behind the old dam. And Don Pedro was the same, so I don't know if you could call up somebody in the Department of Water Resources to see what the elevation of the water is today or a month from now. And then they certainly would be able to tell you what the rim elevation was or the spillway elevation was on the old dam. And I'm sure that you'll see that there's hundreds of feet of water above the level of the old dam. And that's a Chicken Little type of a thing. Oh my God, the reservoir's really very, very.
While you're at that, why don't you take some of those redwood panels from the thing and see if we can do a tree ring analysis?
Well,
Okay,
there was enough water for Scott to go boating.
Why don't we salvage some of
That's
the
all.
trees that are still
and it
down?
was cold.
Water.
I'd like to make a motion,
Just gonna leave here. We already.
oh, we already
We
did?
did our,
Do we?
Sorry.
we were discussing.
Okay, let's
Okay.
move on. I'm being too much of a.
Yeah, we did
We have a
vote.
motion.
We did vote.
We have not. No,
No, we have,
We haven't, we don't have a motion at all.
We did.
I would entertain. We've
Okay,
only
I'm
done
gonna
this
start
fifth
it.
time.
oh,
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the stage 1 water shortage response to address water supply conditions for the water shortage contingency plan.
Okay,
That's with changing rationing to conservation
That's
in
right.
the reso.
Could you add the part about the redwood?
Yeah, and no.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other final comments? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
I was.
Director Underhill,
yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Cicada,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. Thank you, Jessica. Sorry for all the crazy comments.
Can we take a break and cool down a little bit?
You have no idea how bad I need it. Okay, where are we? Okay, 5A, report on June 2021 operations and engineering. Damon?
Good afternoon, directors. So this month, while Becca's pulling up the PowerPoint, was a lot of more of the same and also some unique new experiences. So I'll just jump into it here. If you guys have any questions, please stop me and feel free to ask. So,
Pointed this way.
oh, it's like this.
It's the right button.
So,
You must be pushing the wrong button.
Everybody forgot how to do this in person. It's been some-
For Jessica,
oh, maybe I didn't turn it on.
she was just using it, so.
It bounced off the
Should I
wall.
point it up here?
Yeah.
How about if I? Yeah.
We all have,
Oh, wait. You try it.
Okay, I'll just.
Thanks, Becca. So helpful.
We all get a handout.
just so
Oh,
we,
you did? Oh,
would you
great.
mind taking this report for us, please?
Yeah, so,
Air relief valve repair.
yes, let's move to slide number 2, the air relief valve repair. You can see that, I just wanted to highlight this picture on the left. If you guys look in your packet, you can see the 2-inch threaded line. So this just basically blew out of that saddle in the picture on the right. And so this was oftentimes some of these old blow-offs, we don't even know they exist. Oh, there we go. When we find them, more often than not, it's easier for us to just abandon them. So that's what they did in this case. And if you can move on to the next one, Rebecca. This is next slide. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you can just go back 1 to number 3. Thank you. This is important to illustrate, to continue to illustrate that when staff have to repair service lines, it's often underneath very small rocks, and there's often quite a bit of them. And these actually, we couldn't even move them out of the way. So staff were able to it's kind of hard to see in the picture on the right, but they were able to put a full circle clamp on that service lateral that you can see in the hole there. And so this one here is a ARV replacement off the line in Rancho Calaveras at Macaulay. You can see picture on the left is the AC pipe. So often the AC pipes, both in Copper and in the Valley Springs area, are connected with these collars, and either right on the collar, or in this case, right next to the collar, you have a direct threaded tap into the AC main. And usually that's what fails. So staff then go ahead and put a full circle clamp on the right, and then they plumb that up and out. And if you can move on to the next slide.
How many inch on that picture on the left?
Yeah.
How many inch pipe is that coming out?
So that's going to be, that's going to be about a 1 inch. It looks like it could be 1.5 inches for that. Sometimes ARVs are either 1 or 2 inches. It just kind of depends.
Okay.
And then ultimately that's what you see. You see basically a valve, a meter box. But when you open that meter box, there's an air relief valve, and an air relief valve is basically a apparatus with a ball float in it. So if air needs to escape, it can squeeze past the ball float, and if the water comes up, it seats the float. So that's how those work. This was this one really wasn't talked about very much. This hydropneumatic tank exploded. This provides water pressure and supply to customers up near our B tank site. And so this hydropneumatic tank was installed in 2012.
Up near where? I'm sorry.
B tank, so it's up Usher off of Baldwin in the Rancho area.
Okay.
And so what happens inside that tank is the top layer is air, pressurized air, and it provides pressure. It pushes on the water supply in the tank. So whenever the folks that are fed off this need to use water, that air pushes the water into their home because they're basically the same elevation as the tank itself. So it gives them water pressure. And so there's an air compressor that you can see on the top of the tank, and then it reads the pressure in the tank. And when it needs to boost pressure, it just automatically kicks on. And so that air to water interface over time creates corrosion in the tank, and you have failures like this. And so we go out sometimes on a Saturday afternoon and weld a big patch on there. And so then what happens is in the picture on the left, you can see a previous patch now is the weak spot. So it fails subsequently after the large patch was installed. And so then we go back out and we install another patch. And so then ultimately what happens is, if you could move on to the next slide, we go ahead and purchase a new hydropneumatic tank. And so incidentally, this one, normally these are thousands of dollars, and we found this NSF 61 approved tank. Our purchasing agent, Mike, found this for half that. It was $500, and we put an elastomeric coating on it, and it's actually in a soak process right now. It has to be analyzed for volatile organic constituents inside the tank before it can then be plumbed, and then it needs to be analyzed for bacteriologic content, and then we can put it online. So
Is it a similar size?
it's the same size, it's just vertical. And what you can't see is on the top is a port where we can mount the air compressor, and its sensor will sit right inside of the tank. And so it'll operate the same way, it'll just be a vertical alignment.
Is that a better design? It looks like all these patches and wear took place on the top of the tank, and this has less top. Is that a better design for that?
That's a good question. I have seen these in operation from the 60s, and the ones that I have seen in operation from the 60s are vertical. That said, that air to water interface is always an area of concern. So I'll let you know here in the next couple of years, because we'll be able to tell. It's really thick though, I can tell you that. And so this one is so while we had a crew repairing that on a Saturday afternoon, we had another crew.
We are going to look at the salvage value.
Oh, yeah, let you. Yes, exactly. This is a 6-inch AC failure that happened on Bald Mountain Road in West Point Saturday afternoon. So you can see that there, the full circle clamp down in the hole there is kind of hard to see, and then the gap backs on the right. The next, if you can move on to the next slide. So this is a really cool project that our construction crew is working on now. So we have these recirculation in-ground gravel filters at our Indian Rock waste treatment facility, and they often receive inflow and infiltration from groundwater. It's really close to Coyote Creek. So we went ahead and we're working to replace those with this filter installation project. What you see in this picture are two of the what are called pump tanks. So these receive the effluent, and then they push the effluent from these tanks into those filters. And if you could move on to the next slide, Rebecca, you can see kind of, these are some panoramic photos of the whole operation for one of the fields. So the tanks are in ground, you can see their green risers, and then you can see the concrete pad, which will be where the new filter will sit. And what's great about these new filters is they're above ground, they won't receive inflow and infiltration. And they have curtain filters that hang, and then the water is then basically squirted, for lack of a better term, across the face of these fabric filters. And that's how the biological process happens.
Seen that. I've seen
And so, you know, something that only happens one time a year is the 4th of July parade up in Arnold. And so here's some pictures of CCWD staff and their families working to decorate the Gap Vax, which came up the mountain from Rancho to celebrate with all of the folks in Arnold and White Pines. And then there's one of the service trucks and in all of its glory, getting ready to motor through the parade route.
So Bertha got to ride shotgun in the back on, but Jessica had to hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
it. Said, Bertha said hello 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Should we just call that Bertha's Gap Vax now?
that's Bertha's Gap.
Now, from now on.
So, yeah, it was a fun time.
But I want to note that it was Jessica up on the truck, putting up the flag. I mean, she, you know,
Yeah,
talk about commitment and devotion.
Yeah.
Jessica.
yeah, it all went really well.
There were 33 entries and it took the parade 35 minutes. There were no gaps.
That's great. That's great.
It was
Pretty
open
short, pretty short.
Yeah.
What time did you
Two
start?
block, 2 block
It
parade.
was like 10 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, because I was up there around noon.
We should have, yeah. Made it a race.
Wanted to get those.
I was happy.
Well, it was in White Pines. It wasn't on the highway.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even better. All right,
Thank you, everybody.
anything else for
Hey.
Damon?
Nice pictures, Damon. Thank you.
General manager report?
A lot of hard workers out there.
Okay, yeah, I've got a few things I was gonna mention. The 4th of July parade too. It was a lot of fun. Really appreciate CCWD staff for coordinating that, being up there on a Saturday. And we got a lot of good positive feedback from folks. So very successful event, I think. We're also planning on an Ebbets town hall in the Ebbets Pass area. And so Jessica's already pulled together some flyers and we'll do a whole bunch of outreach. Director Underhill and I were talking this morning about making sure we use different types of outreach to get as many people as we can. And so we'll do a kind of probably a similar format as what we did in Copper a few months ago that I think was pretty successful. And see if we can pull it off without John Gomes this time. That'll be our new challenge. And then the other thing I want to pull the board on a little bit here is our 75th birthday is coming up, and the date I've been focusing on is August 27th, which is the date the election was held in Calaveras County in 1946 to form CCWD. That's the day the public decided to form CCWD. So I think that's a good day to use as our birthday. So we're tentatively, depending on availability, thinking of August 26th, which is a Thursday, evening picnic barbecue at Murphy's Park, similar to sort of an NCPA picnic that I think you probably have all been to that they're not doing this year. So I think it would we could just kind of slide right into that type of an event and invite, you know, our local partners, local agencies, other stakeholders, and CCWD staff and board and have a birthday party. So that's sort of the tentative plan right now, but we'll check with each of you on scheduling and make sure it works for everyone.
I think that has great pairs, right? Or, I just wish we could do something that would involve them. Because of them, that's why we're all here.
We have a venue that holds 13,000 people.
We sent out invites to everybody.
It's just like, sorry, this is CCWD, it's employees and staff, and few other partners. I just don't know if that shows the right.
Our thought was we do an invite, we have an invite list of people that we would invite specifically. Matt's kind of, he's on the bubble right now. We'll see if he makes the cut. But if other people, show up. Because
I think it's a great
public
idea.
place, we wouldn't exclude them.
I think it'd be great for morale and it'd be an awesome idea.
Yeah. So more to come on that, but like I said, we'll follow up with each of the board members to make sure that works. And
I got it in ink on my calendar already.
all right, that's
In
one.
ink.
I got one.
And Cindy, can I point out that we're having a town hall meeting on August the 12th, that we're inviting all of the community.
Yeah, so we'll have
attend, so that-
we're gonna hit each of the different
So there's other opportunities.
districts.
Yeah, I hear you.
So we'll hit each of the different districts, though. I think after Evans Pass, staff are accepting bribes for which district comes next. So we'll see.
I will give you $200 to do mine last.
But mine's gonna be last no matter what. Because there's nobody lives in.
All right.
No rate payment.
Let the bidding begin. And then let's see, what else did I have here? Jessica already and Kevin talked about the meter replacement already. I was going to touch on that. Jessica's also done a really nice job on door tags. So there's going to be a lot more outreach to customers in the areas where the meter replacement is happening. We've been doing a lot of outreach consistently about the project overall. But then as the construction moves into those neighborhoods, we're going to focus on those neighborhoods and do some more targeted outreach.
It looks like they're calling the Keystone Utility Systems directly, instead of the manufacturers of the.
That's the subcontractor that's doing the meter replacement.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother you folks, though, right?
That's correct.
So there'll be more of that as, like I said, as we move into different areas, we'll be doing some more targeted outreach. And speaking of really great outreach work that Jessica's doing, you may notice a new website next time you go to ccwd.org. Has a new look, easier to navigate, easier to find things. So take a look at that. And then we also had, and I think Jessica touched on this briefly too, a meeting with all the other local water agencies to talk about drought, to talk about arrearages and coming out of the lock-off moratorium and several other issues. And I think we're going to try to make that a regularly scheduled meeting where we check in with the other local water agencies. It was a really, really productive meeting. Yes.
What have you named the group? Because last time it was Calaveras Conserve.
So that was only one part of that meeting. I think that meeting is more of just kind of a round table of the water agencies. I think we're going to stick with Calaveras Conserves. We're just not going to have a separate website because before, I think one of the issues was, and it was great to have Joel there because he could share a lot of the learning experiences from last time. One of the issues was it was a separate website that you had to navigate to, and then we had to maintain. And so each of the water agencies agreed to have a page on their website, so their customers can go to their website and see the information on their website, and they can link to CCWD.
Which makes sense, yeah.
For more info, or link to saveourwater.org or whatever the state website is if they want more information. So I think that we'll keep up those meetings. CPUD representatives were there, Blue Lake Springs, Utica, Melissa was there from the city. Yes, Elaine was there from UPUD. So yeah, very, very productive discussion. And I think especially when it comes to ending the lockoff moratorium, that's the kind of thing that even if the agencies have slightly different policies, at least we can coordinate on getting the word out to those customers that might be affected by that and really trying to make a big push to get people current before any of the agencies have to start locking people off. And then just a quick update on the CPUD agreement that the board approved at the last board meeting. we had initially talked about a 15-year extension or new agreement, which is what we've done in the past, 15-year terms. We ended up doing a 1-year extension under those terms, just to give some more time to answer questions and look into some water rights issues and other questions that CPUD has. So
Is that under the new terms?
yes.
Okay.
And we will also be coordinating, I think John's back in town, I want to say either next week or the week after. But I think we want to wait till he gets back to coordinate the first of the ad hoc committee meetings, which is not specific to the contract. It has the idea there was to focus more on other CCWD, CPUD issues. So we'll get that initial meeting set up though in the next few weeks. And then just lastly, I had a really good meeting with Krista Von Latta, the new CAO. And I think she's going to be a great partner, somebody that we're going to be able to work well with. We discussed a whole range of issues, including starting to get her up to speed on groundwater sustainability agency issues, among many other things. So very positive meeting, and I look forward to continuing to work with her.
Did it come up whether or not they still have a relationship or a contract with MIA?
They do. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I think that'll help too, because one of the other things we wanted to talk to her about, and actually we're going to set up another meeting with Rebecca Callan and Corey, who I'm blanking on her last name, but there's a new Health and Human Services Department head at the county, and getting in touch with them to coordinate, because the federal money that's going to come for arrearages has to go through the county, and I think it'll probably go through HHS. And so that's not something, it's not a high priority for the county because they don't have ratepayers. So it's something that, from our perspective, we need to be the ones that make it easy for them to go after that money for us. And MIA is going to be helpful in that process. So we'll educate them on how to go about accessing that money and making sure that it's available, not just to us, but to other local water agencies.
One of the things that was discussed and enacted a few years ago was exchange of directors directors with
Do we have to
supervisors.
trade directors?
Cross attendance at meetings, and I think that's, really very healthy.
So we trade 2 of you for 2 of them, or how? No.
No.
We used to have the 2x2 meetings. Yeah.
Meetings.
There is an informal way to do that. So we could look into restarting those. I know we do have regular interactions with 2 of the supervisors who are now engaged on the groundwater sustainability side. Supervisor Tofanelli and Follendorf kind of taken over that role.
Oh, okay.
Now that Dennis is gone. So, but there are other issues. We just worked very closely with Supervisor Garamendi on the Sheep Ranch water storage tank. So there's other issues that come up from time to time, but we haven't had one of those 2x2s.
And Garamendi and Follendorf are also on camera, and we do interact
That's
with
right.
them on a regular basis.
So we see them
Coming up
there.
next month, or this month.
So did you talk about the 2x2s with her?
No, we hadn't. That did not come up.
Next month.
Okay.
Because I know it got a little shaky because we didn't want to get into, having 3.
Or having it be thought of as a standing committee.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other issue there.
We'll keep it as informal as possible.
Yeah.
Well, that was the public that kind of came in and
Well, it was
pushed,
Dennis Mills.
and well.
But there's ways to have those types of meetings where it is truly an informal setting and it's not a standing committee and it's not, you can have those discussions in compliance with the Brown Act.
Okay.
Anything else, General Manager?
That's all I have for now.
Michael, you shared some information with me the other day about Utica's position with PERS. Do other people know about that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So a couple of success stories over there recently is that, yeah, it's the Utica board recently approved a CalPERS contract, so their staff will now get CalPERS pension benefits for the first time, which has been a source of frustration for them for a long time because Angels Camp and UPUD staff members get it, but the Utica staff didn't. So that's something Joel's been working really hard on, and their board approved unanimously. They're also very close. We don't want to jump ahead too far, but I think very close to finally having a remat contract for the Murphy's Powerhouse, not at the $89.23 price point that they have down at Angels under that remat contract, but it'll be probably at $73 for most of the power and $55 for some of it, which is still much better than they can do on the market right now. So that's another big win for them.
Isn't their current rate 37 or something like that?
It fluctuates wildly a lot, but if they average 37 over the course of a year, that'd actually be pretty good under current conditions. So this will be a pretty big revenue boost for them.
Good.
You have anything else?
And the
General
new
manager, to report to the general manager?
the new Metzger baby is apparently not sleeping very well. That's the other report from me.
I like better than you called in.
Yeah, we can leave you real nice.
Yeah. All right, is that it? Okay, we're gonna adjourn into closed session and we'll be coming back out with new business, but we will adjourn to closed session for government code 54957.6, agency negotiators, General Manager Michael Minkler, HR Manager Stacy Lawler, and Michael Jarvis regarding negotiation of the employee organization SEIU Local 1021 and Management Confidential Unit. And then we will come out and report closed session. Okay, we will once again return from closed session with no reportable action. Okay, we will move on to item 7A, discussion action regarding approval of the memorandum of understanding with the Service Union International Local 1021 and the Management and Confidential Unit. Stacy, do you have a report or is Michael handling the
Take this
report?
one. So these are the contracts we have been working hard on over the last probably 5 months, and very hard on for the last couple of months. You know, there's nothing in here that's going to surprise either of the bargaining units. This is what we've tentatively agreed to in advance. So for the most part, we don't need to walk through the contracts here. President Davidson asked me to make a 45-minute speech about labor negotiations. But no, I really just want to focus at this point on how grateful I am to the bargaining teams in particular for the amount of work that went into it, both for the management unit and for SEIU. You know, this is work that they volunteer for and they're selected by their peers for, that is above and beyond the full-time jobs that they already have. And it's not easy stuff, and it's really important stuff. So I'm just really grateful to the members of those negotiating teams for all the work that went into it. I think we ended up with good contracts, with good compromises that are that kind of chart a positive course for us for the next 5 years. So, and then also want to express my gratitude to the board for a lot of hard work that also went into this on the board side, in a lot of long sessions, working through some really significant changes on, you know, this applies to all the bargaining parties. You know, some really significant changes that are going to be very, you know, meaningful for the district for a long time, but it takes time to work through the complexity of all that stuff and make sure that everybody understands it and is comfortable with it. So really appreciate the hard work and the dedication and the patience that went into this. It's been a long process. So
Okay, thank you for your report.
all I have.
You got 40 minutes.
Go ahead and wrap it up.
All done.
All right, well, with that, and thank you very much, Michael. Okay, are we gonna do one at a time, or are we gonna do them both? Can we do them simultaneously, or? I guess we'll do
Yeah,
them separate. That makes more sense, I guess. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for, to adopt resolution 2021
55.
55 for the Service Employees International Union Local 1021.
So moved.
A motion by Director Underhill,
Second.
second by Director Thomas. Okay, is there any other discussion from the board? Any discussion from the public? Okay, seeing none, please call the roll.
Director Underhill,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas.
Yes.
Director Cicada,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the MOU with the Management and Confidential Unit.
So moved.
Motion by Director Ratterman,
I'll second that.
second by Director Thomas. Is there any discussion by the board?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. This is a difficult process, and it is a long process, and it's something that we as a board hadn't done before. It's not one of our usual things, and it is very, very important. It gets emotional on all sides. It is very, very important and very, very tough, and it's something we have to go through. We were just talking amongst ourselves about how no one ends up with everything. No one ends up with everything you ask for, and in that it kind of everyone's a little bit unhappy, but I think everyone's happy. You get mostly what you need and not necessarily what everyone wanted. But it's so glad to get it done with.
And I might add that we do have to remember that this is a 5-year contract. So that is significant.
So
That is very significant.
Okay,
I'd
go ahead.
like to call for the question, but I want to make a comment afterwards.
Perfect. Okay, is there any public comment? Okay, please call the roll.
Director Underhill,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Cicada,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. Director Thomas, you had a comment?
Well, yeah, I also want to express my appreciation for the way staff has hung in here to the conclusion of this, and I hope that everybody understands and can appreciate how seriously that the board members, each and every one of us, takes this this particular part of our job. We really have the utmost respect and admiration for the job that you do. We have, at least I think that I'm speaking for all of you, that we have the additional burden of looking at where this district is going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and beyond. And so we want to see opportunities that we can seize isn't the right word, but take advantage of some decisions, prudent decisions that we can deliberate on and negotiate that will assure the continued prosperity of the overall organization and the employees as a result of the discussions that we're having. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging in there with us. And I don't know, it's gratifying to me to have accomplished this, and thank goodness we don't have to do it again for another 5 years. So.
Katie, do you have anything?
I don't always know the right things to say, so thank you, Russ, because he said everything that I would like to say. So thank you, and I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, I just want to say also, the board and staff, we definitely have different roles. But I think every staff member needs to recognize how much you guys are appreciated. Not just you here, but feel free to go out and tell all your members how much we do appreciate the work. And we represent the public, and I will tell you, for the most part, the public really appreciates you all as well. So thank you all very much. You're very much appreciated by all of us. So thank you. Now with that, we'll move on to 7B. Discussion action revising the district employee policy.
So with the adoption of the contract, with both the MCU and SEIU, there were provisions in there that were removed from from previous contracts. And we are going to update the district employee policies because we do apply to all district employees. So with that, we're bringing this to you today as part of the finishing off the negotiation contract to approve the replacement of those 77 policies and the employee handbook. And we look forward to bringing you additional employee policies in the next month or so.
Okay. Board have any questions? Can I get a motion for acceptance? Okay, we have a motion by Director Cicada.
Second.
Who said second? Second by Director Underhill. Any comment by the board? Any public comment? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Director Underhill,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Cicada,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. Okay, board reports, information items. I'm sure everybody's going to stay for these. Director Underhill?
Yes, well, we already discussed the fantastic 4th of July and I just
Man.
Who was that?
obviously someone was through. And again, I want to add my appreciation for the staff and the employees of CCWD. In our 4th of July parade, everybody was just so happy to see us with our great big back on. And I appreciate Pat's maneuvering of the tank truck. It was a lot of fun. And so join us next year. We'll be doing the same thing on the first Saturday of July. I don't think it's the 4th, but be there. Thank you.
Director Ratterman?
Yeah, I think I reported last time about Mountain County's moving along with the new executive director. We did have a posting for the executive director job. It's going to be open till the end of this month. I'm on the recruitment, one of the 3 board members that makes up the recruitment committee. And we're going to be meeting at the end of this month to do interviews. So actually, to review all the applications and then do interviews at the beginning of August. And that's all I got going on. Oh, no, that's it.
Director Thomas?
I don't really have anything to report about the activities in my district, but I did overlook something that I wanted to say to compliment Michael Minkler and Stacy Lawler about their extraordinary effort in putting together this contract or contracts and cleaning up the policy manual. I mean, it went from 47 pages to 23 or 24 pages, and I can't imagine the mind twisting process that must take to go through that. So my sincere appreciation for doing that. That's great. So.
Director Cicada?
I just wanted to say that I did the NCPA tour of Spicer and McKay's back on the 28th. And very informative. It was really helpful for me to understand the CCWD's role. And that's it. No,
I got a couple of future agenda items. One, I'd like to get an update on our obligation for redistricting. I've been seeing some different agencies that are going through a public process. I don't know what our obligation is or what our plans are, but I believe we have to do it. So I'd like to do that. And then I'm also looking forward to the new MOU with staff and the board. Don't we get to have an MOU? Seems like it'd be a lot of fun to do that. That one probably I'll just take under advisement.
We could just create our own
Yeah.
MOU and
Right.
vote on it. and
Right,
That's
yeah,
it.
perfect. Okay, well, that's all I,
Future agenda items, Rebecca.
For the finance, this weekend, some kind of report on the receivable past due.
That's it, we get.
It's good. Well, for next week, I think. I'm just kind of curious to where we are for potential law costs and whatnot.
okay, next meeting is Wednesday, July 28th at 1 PM. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, I'm glad that-
I have